What up? This is Caroline with the CWC podcast, where we believe that life without your favorite foods is not worth living. I'm going to be talking a lot about my journey to food freedom, and of course, I will always keep it real by sharing the good, the bad, and of course, the ugly. This is very exciting. We're back at the CWC podcast, and I have a very, very special guest today. It's Clare Crawley, and I'm going to do her intro because she should be joining any minute now. Clare is a hairdresser from Sacramento, California. She was also on ABC's 16th season of The Bachelorette, and she also just recently had an explant, which is obviously why I reached out to her. I asked if she would be willing to come on the CWC podcast and share her story of explanting, breast implant illness, all of that. So she has agreed, and I'm so excited. So now we're just waiting on her to hop on.
Hello.
Well, I am so happy that you are on here and are going to share your story. And I kind of just want to jump right in. I did your intro before you came in, so I got all that done. So tell me kind of where this all started. Tell me a little bit about you, and then we can just hop right in.
Yeah, well, I am 40 years old. I am just, I guess, a regular girl. I've been a hairstylist and owned a salon for the last 15 years. And just normal girl, normal career, normal life. And then last year I got chosen to be the Bachelorette and kind of changed the little trajectory of my life just a little bit.
Just a little.
Just a little bit. And I've just been kind of following my path and figuring myself out still at this age and working my way through. But about 6 years ago, I ended up getting into, I guess, the breast implant illness. I had gotten my implants about 6 years ago, and kind of in the process of being an adult woman. It wasn't like when I was 18 years old or whatever, but it was a decision I made a lot later in my life, I guess you could say. And
right.
Did it for the purpose of just, I guess, self-esteem, really, truly at the end of the day. At the time, I was just like, why not?
Yeah.
But yeah, I've talked about it on my social media. At that point, it was just this sounds great. Like, I want to do this. I want bigger breasts. I want a more feminine shape to myself, or so I thought, feminine.
Right.
And yeah, just did that about 6 years ago and have been dealing with that ever since, while going through life in the public eye and trying to live in the public eye on social media and that type of thing. So it's been a little bit of a challenge, but things that I hid and didn't talk about and didn't share for so long.
So did you immediately notice something, like after you got your implants in? Was it immediate that you started having symptoms?
It wasn't immediate, but I would say probably so I remember taking a picture of a rash I had on my body, and it was just the most random, where is this coming from? Took a picture of it. One of my sisters is a nurse, so I sent it to her, and I was like, what is this? What's going on here? And so I actually, this past year, I looked back and going, like, I've always taken pictures of my rashes and everything that's kind of going on with my body. I take pictures of it. And so I look back and going, how long has this really been going on for? Because it feels like forever. And because I didn't know the correlation between what are these rashes, what are all these symptoms I'm having, and why can't doctors give me any answers? And I kind of tracked it back to that first picture. And that was about a year into getting my implants.
Wow. See, I had the rash thing too, and I didn't even know until after I had explanted, and I kind of pieced it back and was like, oh my God, I remember that rash that I had. And my doctor tried to treat it with multiple different like steroid creams and all this stuff, and it wouldn't go away. And it was the weirdest thing. My doctor was like, this is bizarre. Like, it should be clearing up with this cream that I'm giving you. And it never cleared up. I had it forever.
That 100% was me to a T, but to the point where my doctors were going, well, maybe it's a dermatology thing. So I don't know what to do with you. I'll send you to a dermatologist because I don't know how to deal with this. And the dermatologist is like, I'll send you to the allergist because I don't know how to deal with it. And then it's just this bouncing back and forth of I don't have an answer for you. So I'm going to send you to somebody else who can maybe give an answer, which I understand it. There's only so many minutes in a day that they have to deal with so many people. And
Right.
it wasn't textbook, but I just got tired after 5 years of, we don't know what this is. We're just treating your symptoms. And I didn't want to spend a lifetime of treating symptoms. I wanted to get to the root of the problem and actually just heal that.
And I think it's interesting that every woman I've talked to about this, they just seem to know that something isn't right. And I told my husband for a year and a half straight, I said, there's something wrong. Like, I don't know what it is, but something is wrong. And he kept saying, you know, like the fatigue, I had fatigue really bad. And he would say, well, try taking a pre-workout or drinking more coffee. And I'm like, it's not like that though. It is like a fatigue that knocks me down and I would have to take days off of work. That's not normal. And so forever, I just said, I know something's wrong. I just don't know what it is. And I stumbled upon breast implant illness. Yeah,
that's what is the crazy making and is what makes women feel so psycho, is that doctors don't have an answer for you for the most part. And they can run all the tests, they can run all the labs, and everybody's telling you, we don't know, or you look normal and we don't really have an answer.
Right.
And your partners and your people in your life, your loved ones are always going, well, try this or try that. And I remember, like you say, with the fatigue, I remember literally sleeping 8-9 hours a night, which is normal for me. And I would wake up feeling hungover. And I started thinking, like, this isn't normal for a person who does not drink. I don't drink. Like, why am I feeling this hungover, kind of like a dragging feeling? And it just was, I didn't realize how bad it was until I got my implants out.
And which was recently, right?
Yeah, I had them out on July 30th. And it's, couple 6 weeks ago, I'd say.
Man. So how many symptoms did you have prior to explanting?
When I counted, I would say it was like low 20s, but like 23, 24, something in there. But all which individually, I think, can maybe be attributed to something else, or maybe just happen to be a thing. But all combined together, and when you see other women saying the exact same thing, it totally makes sense. And when there is no answer for it, like the being super, super lethargic, there's no blood work answer to that, but then you just are though,
Yeah.
Super worn down. You just are. For me, there was a lot of them that, like I said, with treatment, with taking care of it and staying on top of it, because I'm adamant on staying on top of my health stuff and trying to figure things out. And I would take care of things. And then like one of these things I remember, I was always getting infections.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a very healthy person. I'm always showering twice a day. Like, I take good care of what I eat, what I put in my body, very conscious of that kind of stuff. And I was like, this isn't normal. I'm so healthy. Why do I keep doing this? Why is my body so inflamed and getting these infections? And I could not figure it out for the life of me. No matter what, this year alone, I was on 7 rounds of antibiotics up until May.
Holy crap.
And they just kept, I don't know, Claire, here's more antibiotics and you need stronger ones and you need more. And I just, prior to the last 5-6 years, I hadn't even taken a Tylenol in 15 years. I hadn't taken a Benadryl. I hadn't taken any, I'm so like, well, I stay away from medications. And this year alone, I was just like, I'm just going to do it because I'm sick of feeling sick,
You just get tired of feeling that way. And then also not getting answers from anyone. And when it was when I started talking to other women, friends, and I would say, okay, well, what are your symptoms? And we would just share. And it is like mind boggling when you see someone else that you don't, there was a girl I didn't even know that we just happened to find out we were explanting on the same day. And she was like, can I ask what your symptoms are? And it was no joke. Like, we each had 18 of the identical symptoms. And it was just bizarre. I remember being like, I know now, like, I already know what this is. I feel like this is going to solve all my problems. And it did. My year explant anniversary was September 17th. So just a couple days ago, And it's taken almost a year. I had mine in for almost 13 years. And so they say typically it takes about a month per year that you had them in. So you're probably going to be like back to normal here in a couple months.
Yeah, and I hope so. And yeah, I'm still have a few of the symptoms, and it almost kind of comes in waves, some of them too. Like right now, my eyes are, you could probably, I don't know if you could tell, but they're super pink, and it's probably from residual stuff, but it's still, it kind of like in stressful, like under a lot of stress, it kind of flares up a little bit, or when I do like a detox, I'm just now starting to do a few lightweight detox things to help get the metals out of my body and the heavy metals out of my body. And when I do a little bit of a detox, it flares up a little bit. So I can still tell it's in my body still, for sure.
You can definitely feel, I don't know if you ever had like the sensation that you could smell smoke. Did you ever have that?
No, I didn't know that was one of them.
So I had that. It's a really interesting story. When I was pregnant with my son, who is now almost 12, I remember we were living in this other house, and I woke up one morning and it smelled like someone was in my bathroom smoking a cigarette. And I turned over. I remember saying, "Do you smell that?" And my husband was like, "No." And I was like, "It smells like cigarette smoke. And it is so strong." And he was like, "I have no idea what you're talking about, but I don't smell it." Fast forward to literally like last year, I was posting a comment somewhere about breast implant illness. It was after I explanted, and some lady was like, "Did you ever smell cigarette smoke?" And I was like,
"Oh,
what?" I was in my car and I was like, "Yes, I did." She was like, "I did too." And it was the weirdest thing. I was like, "Oh my God, that is related." And I still sometimes, when I roll over in bed at night, I sometimes will like get that hint that I smell it. And it's just weird. It's really, really weird.
It's got to be correlated with the heavy metals and the
heavy metals
in the body. I don't know if you could do this now, but even just knowing what I know about breast implant illness, I feel like I can look at women and I could tell that they have it.
I have said the same exact thing. And it's so hard for me now that like what I know and how much I've been in this community of breast implant illness, it like if I see a woman, especially someone I know with implants, I automatically just want to be like, "Do you have any random symptoms that you're struggling with?" Like, and I know that's I don't do that because it's such an invasion, but I do. I wonder that. And I can almost tell by just the way their skin looks or eyes.
Yes. I have a picture that I took the morning before surgery and the morning after surgery. And it's in the same lighting. It's literally identical, same time, everything. And the whites of my eyes were gray.
Oh,
and I never noticed that. I think because it's like, as it develops in you, it's gradual. It's not like one day you wake up and you're like, "I got boobs and, exhaustion and this and that." It doesn't hit you like that. It slowly creeps in, and you think it's attributed to so many other things, aging, hormones, stress. Like it could be contributed to so many different things, but as you figure out, and I think that's why it takes women so long to kind of figure it out, and doesn't help that we don't have a lot of doctors, regular MDs going, "This could be what you have." You know, it's almost like for me, it was, I had to convince my doctor and my doctors that that's what I was doing. Even, I had the dermatologist that I was seeing at the time for my skin, I was crying in her office and I was just like, "I'm sick of this. I am getting my implants out." And she was like, "You're not listening to me. You need to take another round of antibiotics." And I was just like, "I'll see you afterwards. I'll see you when I get back." And I just believed in it that much. And I knew that that's what it was in my gut. And I came back 2 weeks after my explant, and because I had a follow-up from that previous appointment that I needed antibiotics. And she was like, "Huh, okay." And I had no rash or anything on me.
Isn't crazy. That wild? I have a similar story with my urologist, because when I went to my primary I had severe issues with like bladder. I could not empty my bladder. And that was the first symptom that when it started, I was like, okay, something for sure in my body is not right. Like I know I have to go to the bathroom, but I can't go all the way. And so I went to my primary care. She was like, "You definitely need to go see a urologist." So I went, they did an ultrasound, all this stuff. And they were like, "Yeah, you're for sure not emptying it all the way." And I'm like, "I know that, but that's why I'm here. Why am I not?" And they put me on Flomax, which I didn't want to take a medication for it because I knew it just wasn't, I knew that wouldn't fix it. So sure enough, I took it, nothing changed. I got off of it. went back 1 week before my explant and I talked to the doctor, and I was so desperate at that point for just some medical professional to just even in the slightest bit, not fully agree with me, but say it could be from that. And I was like, do you think that this could potentially be related to my breast implants? And he was like, I don't think so. There's no, they go into that whole, and I get it. Like, there's no evidence to support that. And I was like, okay, well, I'm explanting next week. And within 2 days, that was one of the symptoms that immediately just magically went away. It was so weird.
Isn't that crazy? I live in California. My surgery was with Dr. Rankin in Florida. You love him. I took my sister with me, and she was just like, I don't know a lot about this. I don't really know if this is even but if this is what you want to do, I'll take care of you. I got you. So, but she was like, when I woke up the next day, my rashes were gone. I was just sobbing because I was like, every day I just wanted to rip my eyeballs out, and I would it was awful. It was torture for me. And I remember telling her, like, I cannot live like this. I can't live like this. And when I woke up and my rashes were gone, she was like, wow. She was like, I didn't even know, or maybe even believe, I didn't know. And it was like, oh my gosh. But I'm glad we are talking about it. And thank you, again, for having me on here, because
thank you.
No, of course. Cause I love talking about this, because for so long I kept it inside, all my symptoms, all that I was going through, everything that I was dealing with, even mentally, the stuff I was dealing with, this being in a new relationship, wanting to be positive and bring the best side of me to the relationship and be happy and be who I really am in my soul, whilst dealing with this underlying medical condition that is like debilitating in so many ways.
And you just can't. I found myself, it's a very dark, lonely place because you don't have answers, and the others around you, bless their hearts. Like my husband, he didn't know, none of my friends knew anything about it. And so they don't know how to help you. Yeah. But like you said, inside, you're just like, I don't want to live like this. I can't tell you how many times I thought, and I had a lot of the mental side effects. I had suicidal thoughts that would come in, and they would just pop in randomly and take me off guard. And it wasn't ever anything that I knew I would do, but it was like, it was there. Yeah. And then it was just that dark feeling, almost like an ominous feeling. And I don't know. I know that I don't need to explain it to you. You know what I'm talking about, but.
Well, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. And I actually sat down and talked at length with a psychologist, because as a matter of fact, one of the last things I had a doctor tell me before I started the breast implant or explant journey, and knowing that was my path, I had a doctor when I'm sitting there going, I don't know what's going on. And he was like, maybe you should see a psychologist. And I think it's time for that. And I thought, you know what? I absolutely will. And I sat down with a psychologist, and I said, once I started doing my research on breast implant illness and all that, I said, tell me about inflammation in the body and how it affects the brain. If we're going to sit here and talk about mental stuff and brain stuff, let's talk about inflammation in the body and what it does to your brain. And literally studies and study. I feel like I could borderline be an expert on this stuff, and I'm sure but studies that I've read about just inflammation in itself and your body rejecting, I don't know if it's rejecting an implant, but creating that protective shell and the barrier around an implant innately is your body's defense mechanism to a foreign object in your body, right? So that's innately going to cause inflammation. So we know inflammation is going to be in our body. The effects on the brain of that is extensive: depression, anxiety. Your body is so focused, I think, on healing and fighting this, that it can't put enough energy into healing and fighting this and giving you a stable brain even.
I completely agree. You know? Well, and yeah, when you explant and see your capsules around the implant, I had no idea what that even was. And I remember being really concerned. They're like, here's your photos. And I called my PA and was like, why are they red? And she was like, that's the capsule that your body forms around it. So it is really crazy that your body kind of goes straight into fight or flight. Like, I need this out. I'm going to create this capsule around it to protect it. Yeah. But And then it causes all of those other really bizarre, random things that, when you start piecing them together, they don't match up. And that's when the doctors are like, well, I don't know, like this could be MS. Like I had one of my friends go to, and she knew nothing about this until I explanted. And she was like, oh my gosh, I'm wondering if my issues could be because of my breast implants. And I was like, I didn't even think about that, but I'm sure they are. And they were like diagnosing her with MS because they didn't know what else to diagnose her with.
Yeah. The amount of, I think, women that get diagnosed with lupus.
Yes.
Lupus,
Hashimoto's,
all the MS. What's the other one that's with the tick? Is that lupus? No.
Lupus. Is it fibromyalgia or no?
That's also, I think
that's one of them though.
Yeah. The one with when you like with ticks, Lyme disease.
Oh, yes.
So all these I think are inflammation related. And I think it shows up in reflects in your blood work of that. And I think a lot of thyroid things too, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it shows up as that and presents as that. But I think taking a deeper dive into it, the hard part is you don't know until you take your implants out.
Mm-hmm.
That's the hard part. But I can almost guarantee you a lot of the times with implants and you're having all of the other symptoms, I feel like it's just a given, And to me,
it's a given.
Yeah, everybody was like, why are you, or most people were like, you're going to take your implants out on a guessing, like, because maybe, and I'm like, boobs aren't worth that to me. My health, sanity, it's not worth that to me. And to be honest, I don't even think I was at a place, I know I'm not in a place anymore in my life where that determines my beauty or that determines my femininity. It's not
at all.
I think it used to be in my image of that. So I was like, gladly. And I think implants in itself, like I thought I don't have to wear padded when I got them in. I don't have to wear padded bras. I don't have to do this. I don't have to hold them up. Like it's gonna be great. And then when I got them, I was like, okay, I was wearing sports bras all the time because I was strapping them down and they just felt like these heavy jugs on me. Mm-hmm. And I was covering them up, trying to be more modest. And it was like, a lot of people were like, I didn't even know you had implants anyway, because you always are covered up anyway. And I'm like, God, why did I do what? And that's another thing, the mental game we do to ourselves of like, I did this to myself.
Mm-hmm. I know.
To do this to myself. That's a whole nother thing, I think, too.
Because you feel, and I mean, I've said it over and over. I'm not someone who likes to say I have all these regrets. I feel like every choice brings us to something else. And had I never put mine in and gone through 2 years of feeling like I was dying, then to explant and feel better, I would not have been able to talk about it and, cool. I mean, I don't want to say save other women, but share my story and then impact them to either, I've had a lot of women be like, I've been thinking about getting implants. And now after your story, like there is no way I would do it. And I'm like, thank you. Like, please don't do it.
Same. Oh man, I'm so aligned with exactly what you say too. It's almost like, I don't regret it. Cause at that time, if you would have told me, Claire, this is what it could cause, I can't say I wouldn't have still done it. I was at that point where I like felt like, I don't know, I was just in a different mindset emotionally and all that. But I feel like this is given me making the decision for my health, regardless of what an MD or anybody else, regardless of what anybody says, making a decision for my well-being is so empowering for yourself. To say like, I will fight for myself. And it always gets me emotional for some reason saying this, but I felt like, yes, we made the decision to get the implants because we didn't know better, I think at the time too, but in the same token, my body was like, I was angry at my body for so long for having the rash, for having all these symptoms. I was angry at my body for having this, but then I thought my body is fighting for me. And the best thing that I can do to honor my body is to fight for it as well. And I have the decision to take these out and fight for myself as well. My body's trying to fight for me. Like I have the choice to take them out. So it was so empowering. And it took me to another level. Like you said, it was worth it in that sense. It took me to another level of self-empowerment and just a way to like heal, as another step in the healing process of life things.
I just love the way you described that because I I like to think that I had a lot of self-confidence and I was empowered prior to taking mine out. But, I had scheduled to get new ones in. Mine, I have breastfed to children. So they were like, I knew it was time to either get new ones or get them out. And getting them out wasn't even in my peripheral. So I booked my appointment, paid for my surgery. And then I went to my pre-op and I told the nurse, I said, I'm really scared. And she was like, what are you scared of? And I was like, well, I'm switching from saline to silicone, which now I know that doesn't matter because there's silicone and saline. But she said, I would be scared too. And I don't know what it was, but her saying that to me, it was almost like this weird, like sisterhood thing. Like she wasn't supposed to say that, but she said it to like calm me or comfort me. And that was the moment that I literally went home and I said, what if I just get mine out? What if I just get them out? And my husband was like, you just went to your pre-op and we've already paid for new ones. What are you talking? Where is this coming from? And he was blindsided. And I was like, I don't remember what I said, but I was nervous about what my husband and I have been together for 21 years, but I was still nervous about how are you going to view me? Are you okay with me getting them out? It's almost like I still needed approval from someone else. And when he was like, it's your body. We've been together before you ever had the implants. I don't care. If you want them out, take them out. And I remember after that, it was just kind of like steamrolled. I was ready to do it. And after I got them out, I was like, damn, I feel even more feminine now than I did when I had them. And I feel so much more empowered as a person now.
Yeah. I think it's huge. The level of, it's a big decision to take them out for sure. It's not an easy, the amount of women that I've talked to on social media, when we talk back and forth about this is they're scared. They're scared that they're like, I don't know if I'm going to hate them without it, if I'm going to be intimidated. And it's like, or not intimidated, but just like, I'm not going to like them and disgusted with my body. So to make this, it was a worry of mine. Am I going to like it? I was fresh. I just, got engaged and, I was like, God, there's a lot of question marks, but I think it was, like you said, very empowering to say, I don't care.
Yeah.
I want to be the best version of myself. And if you don't like me for that, I know I will. And I know that this is my body. This is my body, regardless if they're saggy, regardless if they're small, like this is my body. And if somebody doesn't like me because of that, and they would rather me sick Claire, itchy Claire, like I was miserable. You'd rather that because of a physical look, like.
Exactly. I look at implants so differently now. It's,
same.
I don't know. It's very weird. I feel like I'm almost at completely, which I am a different person since explanting, but I just look at them now and I'm like, why do we do this in the first place? Why do women feel the need to put bags in their, it's crazy to me, which I did it, but.
Totally. I know it's so funny too, because like I said, when I had my implants, I would never be caught dead without a bra unless they were like strapped down. And I thought when I got them in, I could wear no bra and they'd be perky, it'd be great. But it was the opposite. I was always like, they would be like just tits McGee, porn star boobs. Like, it wasn't cute or cool. And I just felt so self-conscious. And now I feel more feminine when I don't wear a bra. I'm like, people aren't looking at your boobs,
right.
The big old boobs, that were big old fake boobs that I had, I feel so much more feminine and I can wear like daintier stuff and I feel more comfortable in my body because it's my body. It's me. Yeah.
And it makes working out a million times easier. Like, it's like, I didn't realize how hard it was having them in for so long and trying to do like burpees or anything really. I'm like, now this is like super easy.
Well, what I didn't realize, and I guess but I didn't realize when you get implants put in, and I don't think a lot of women realize this or even acknowledge it after they have them in too, but when you get them put in, they cut that, at least under the muscle, they cut that muscle, right? The pecs muscle, they just leave it hanging there. They don't re-sew it back down with the implant under it. They leave it hanging there. So no wonder you're weaker. No wonder you can't do as many burpees as hardcore push-ups or pull-ups. They leave the muscle just flapped there. And it's only when you go to doctors because it's an extensive, intense surgery doctors like Dr. Rankin who know how to meticulously sew that muscle back and will go in there and because that muscle is so retracted now from years of having the implant and just hanging there, the muscle is retracted. They have to actually go back in and like stretch it back down. That's something that a lot of doctors don't want to do. And it's intricate. It requires, I believe, like heart surgery type of tools, like very intricate tools to sew that muscle back down.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I went when I was thinking first in the beginning of, oh yeah, that's why you feel a lot weaker in workouts and stuff like that because the muscle's just hanging there with the implant under it.
Oh,
yeah. It's kind of like, it's actually gross when you think about it. It's just a floppy muscle
it's like
in there.
Barbaric in a way. Like,
yes. But I went to the doctor that put him in for me. And I actually really, really love this doctor. But she's not a specialist in explants and doesn't do an end block or a capsulectomy.
Capsulectomy.
That leaves the actual capsule in there, which is an important part of it, you know?
Yeah.
But she even said, she was like, and I said, what about that muscle? And she's the one who was like, the muscle is just kind of hanging there. And I said, well, do you reattach the muscle? Because that's what's going to hold your breast up, you know, your natural breast up is reattaching that muscle. And she was like, no, but I can put in this mesh thing. It's really hard to reattach the muscle, but I can put in this like mesh thing that can like give you a little bit of a lift. And I thought, I'm trying to take all the foreign objects out of my body. I'm not, you know, I don't want anything else in there because I do have so many symptoms. And I just was like, I don't think I need to go to a specialist for this because I knew about all the symptoms that I was having and somebody who that is their job to solely be doing explants and is a specialist in that, you know?
Yeah. I actually had Dr. Rankin on my podcast about a month and a half, 2 months ago.
Do you just love him? He is the greatest.
Yes, he is the greatest.
The greatest. People always ask me too, they're like, why did you fly to Florida to have your surgery? And is it so expensive? Is it this? Is it that? And I was like, I got one shot at this. I'm not going to have a botched or a questionable. That's the last thing. I'm already worried about 100 other things.
Exactly.
What my doctor does is not one of those things I want to be worried about. I wanted to be in like the best of the best hands. And I thought, I've just got one set of my own body, you know, like it's just my body. So,
and you want to do the best, you want to have the best person, which I mean, he is one of the best. And I have so many girls who are like, oh my gosh, Dr. Rankin, I want him to do my surgery, but he has a year or 18-month wait list. And I'm like, I know. Like,
I know it's a long one, but that just shows how good he is. Number one. Yep. And it shows that like, he is really just good at his job and people want to go to him because of the work he does do. And I still to this day, I'm like, I cannot say enough good. I had the most seamless, no pun, I guess, but like seamless surgery and recovery ever. It was amazing. And I know it's a long wait list, but I think to me, it was worth waiting. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of things depend on too, the severity of your symptoms too. And if there's cancellations or stuff. So I think people shouldn't give up hope on finding a doctor they want and jumping on their wait list or jumping on a surgery list for them, because you never know what could pop up, or you can be sped up, or if your symptoms get a lot worse, if they can help you work you in or something like that. So I think there can be some flexibility in there, but yeah, I waited a long time for Dr. Rankin. Intentionally, I waited a long time for him. He's definitely
that is really important, because there are plastic surgeons who won't do the in-block procedure. And I've had girls be like, well, I scheduled my explant, but they're not going to take the capsules out. And I'm like, that defeats the purpose. Don't take the implants out. You're defeating the purpose. If you have symptoms and you're sick, there's no reason to take the implants out and leave the capsules. You have to get everything out if you want to get better.
Totally. And I think that's why it's good for women like us to continue these conversations, because it's not just like, we'll go in and slip them out. It's not that. And I don't think women know that. I think they think I'll just go in and take them out and that'll make it better. But no. There is so much more to it that is beneficial and like important in your healing from your symptoms.
I didn't know anything about the capsulectomy. I knew nothing. And when I was talking to a friend the surgeon that I use here in Oklahoma, he's amazing. She had gone to him and I said, well, so who do I go to? Do I just go to the guy who put them in? And she was like, need to make sure that he will do a capsulectomy, and you need like a microsurgeon who is good, like knows what they're doing. And I just asked her like, well, who did you use? And she told me, and she was like, he's amazing. So I looked him up. He was awesome. I used him. I've probably sent 20 girls to him, and he's great, but it is important to know like what you're going into, what you need to do to fully heal.
Oh, absolutely. And to do all the research on it, because it is not just simple as that. And if I would say, actually, if there's a doctor with a wait list like that, that's the doctor you want to go to.
Exactly.
You know, for the most part, that's who you want to go to, not somebody who will just willy-nilly be like, yeah, I'll take him out for you. I can pop him out for you. That's not who you want to go to. You want to go to a doctor that will be like, this is what we need to do. Because really, it's not just, like you said, the capsule, it's not just pulling them out. These capsules are the reason. I don't think a lot of women know this, but the capsules adhere to your ribs. These are just like this close to your ribs and your lungs and your heart and everything that's right under there. That is very important.
Yes.
That you need to survive. And you're scraping and cutting that capsule that has sometimes stuck to that off of there. That's why a lot of doctors don't do that, is because it is stuck. But that's what the problem is. This toxicity and this like, what do you call it? That's what a lot of women are like, I had trouble breathing. They didn't know why. These capsules are stuck to their ribs. Like, that's not good in your body. That can't be good.
I actually just talked to a girl today. She sent me a message on Instagram. She was like, I explanted finally. And I was like, oh my gosh, how are you feeling? And she said, I'm really, really sore. And she said, my capsule was stuck to my ribs and they had to scrape it off. And I was like, oh God.
You don't want just any willy-nilly doctor scraping your rib cage.
No.
No, I think the other thing that I come across, which is, I know the whole insurance and the payment of this, and my mentality, because a lot of women are like, isn't it expensive to do? And the thing is, it's expensive to get them put in.
Yep.
So if you make that choice for yourself, it's one, and you have to replace them eventually. They're not put them in your body.
It's not one surgery, leave them in. Yeah.
Yeah. Doctors, I think when they put them in, they're like, they're going to have to be replaced eventually. So that money should always be kind of a thought in your brain. So an explant is definitely worth the money. And you've talked to Dee before, right?
Oh yeah.
So she was the one who, she's told me stories of women who were living in their cars, borrowed money, borrowed, steal to get the money. If insurance, which a lot of times I think doesn't cover it. But do what you got to do. If it's a question of like, I don't have the money to do it, find a way, because your health is worth it.
And that's what, I always just suggest, I'm like, if your insurance won't cover it, or if you don't have insurance, they have care credit. Like you can apply for care credit and put anything on. You can put like dental bills and vet bills on that. And it's very, very low interest rate. And I just was like, I'm putting this on my credit card. I don't care. Like I'm getting them out one way or the other. I just don't care.
And the other thing I thought about too was like the amount of money I spent on copays for my doctor's visits every month, multiple times a month, the creams, the lotions, the prescriptions, the antibiotics, the years of like doing things, saunas, hyperbaric chamber, like even just the time invested, the time off of work when you're so sick, that money is worth it. The money is worth it to spend on the explant for the long term, for sure.
1,000%. Yeah. I spent thousands of dollars because we don't have health insurance. So I spent so much money at specialists, which is not cheap. It's like $800 a visit. And so I would go and not get an answer. And I'm like, I don't want to go back and spend another $400 for him to tell me he doesn't know what's wrong with me. Like,
I was doing the same thing on LabWorks. That was where my money was wrapping up, was just LabWorks after LabWorks after LabWorks, and then to, like you said, to go see specialists. And I couldn't get a referral from my doctor because my doctor didn't believe what I was saying. And why would we send you to this type of specialist if your blood work says otherwise? And it's like,
yeah, it's just exhausting.
It's exhausting. It really is.
Well, I just love that you are talking about this, sharing your story, spreading awareness. That's just the most important thing that we can do. You know, we go through the process, we live through it. I mean, essentially at one point ruined your life. I've said that so many times. I'm like, it ruined my life for like 2 years. I thought I was dying. And then to explant, and then I don't want to say magically, but you see all of these plaguing symptoms that you've been dealing with just go away. Like they're just gone. Like, totally. And then your face changes
like that. A lot of them, it is like that for sure.
And I mean, it's so, I don't know how you can ignore it. And so I keep hoping, I'm like, this will gain steam.
Yes.
People, doctors and medical professionals will see with social media, they will see all of these women start talking about it. And it will eventually get to a place where they can't deny it. They're going to have to spend money to research it and do trials or whatever. And eventually I really hope that it will be a recognized illness and insurance companies will have to cover it.
Yeah. And you know what I thought of, which is so awful to even have to think about this, but before I got explanted, I did thermography. I did stuff that I didn't necessarily, the blood work, the thermography, where it shows like heat and infection in your body. Yeah. Inflammation in your body. Thermography. I did photos. I did everything extensively because I knew 6 months, a year from then, I'm going to repeat. To be honest, I could care less almost the doctor side of it.
Yeah.
I care about other women. Sorry.
Not feeling alone.
Not feeling alone and not feeling crazy and not wanting to die because everybody told them they're crazy about what they're experiencing and that what they're experiencing and feeling is real. Like it wasn't until I started, and thank goodness for social media, but like started talking to other women. I started talking to Dee. I reached out to Dee via social media and she's amazing and the most knowledgeable woman with all of this and such an advocate for women. But I just remember sobbing in my car, talking to her after I reached out to her via social media and was like, heard you're the woman to talk to. But I just was like, I feel so alone and so isolated and so crazy about everything that I'm feeling. And she just pointed me to other women and I talked to other women about it. And they were like, you're not crazy. This is why I feel I have felt what you feel. So if anything, by us talking about this, I think how it can impact other women to not feel alone and to not feel hopeless is going to be huge. And it already has been huge by the women you affect and the women who come to you and turn to you with like the Me Too feeling, The
Me Too. Yeah. It's, they don't have anyone. And we both, you and I know that feeling. We've been there. So they see us talking about it. And I sit sometimes at night, I will literally lay in bed after my husband goes to sleep, kids go to sleep, and I will just be messaging women who are like, hey, I saw your podcast, or I saw you popped up on Instagram and I saw you talking about breast implant illness. Can you tell me like a little bit about your story? And the ones that are just like numbing are the ones where they'll say, I had these really terrible thoughts about this happening, or I had a suicidal thought and it's really scary. And I don't want to tell my husband and I've told no one, but I feel like I can talk to you because you said you had that. And that is the most important thing, is that women need to know that they are not crazy. They're not alone. These symptoms are very real. And like you said, some of them could potentially be from aging or something else. But a lot of the times when it is 5 to 10 of those same exact symptoms, it's linked to breast implant illness. And I've talked to too many people for it to even be a thought in my head. I know for a fact.
For a fact. And the other thing too, is because a lot of women are like, how do I know these symptoms are correlated with this? And I think if you have tried and done what you need to do to resolve those issues, and those issues are not resolved.
Yep.
So if you get UTIs, and you've taken the antibiotics and you get them again, and then you have the other symptoms along with that. So it's not just, oh, I had a rash and is this breast implant illness? It's not that. No. That's not what I'm talking about. It's, I had a rash. I went to the doctor. It got the cream, didn't go away, came back, didn't, like, it's the constant things aren't going away. It's because these are still in your body.
That actually happened to me with the UTI. I've had UTIs my whole life, ever since I was a child. My mom told me I had surgery for it when I was a child. Yeah. So I would consistently get them. And I finally figured out, between me and my gynecologist, I figured out how to keep them at bay. And I went probably 4 or 5 years without having one at all. And then it was 2.5 years ago, I got one and I was like, I haven't had a UTI in forever. What? Like, I don't understand. And my doctor put me on a round of antibiotics. Didn't go away. And that's never happened. And so I was like, it's still here. And I finished my antibiotics. I'm still in pain. She called me another round. Didn't go away. And at that point, I was like, I was getting very alarmed. I'm like, I can't continuously have a bacterial infection just wreaking havoc on my body. Why is this not? Yeah. And I ended up being on 4 rounds straight of antibiotics. And at the very end of that last one, it started to kind of go away.
Yeah.
And I was so fed up and I was like, I'm not taking another round of antibiotics. And I contacted, I think, my sister's best friend, and she's into like all this holistic stuff. And she was like, try this. And it was something I got at Whole Foods. I'll never forget it. And I keep it in my pantry. It's a little tube and these little white pellets. And she was like, just try it. Ooh. And I started taking them every day. It's called Cantharis.
Ooh, I was telling me Cantharis.
It went away within a week after taking that. It
really?
was crazy. Yeah.
Oh, taking notes right now. Cause I also kind of grew up getting them every now and then. I'd get the random one and then you'd take care of it. But within the last couple of years, any little thing would set it off. And I'm like, I'm a healthy woman. Like this should not be happening. There's nothing physiologically wrong with me. Right. This should not be happening. It would happen in times where I wasn't in a relationship, wasn't doing anything, and I'd still get UTIs. And I'm just like, this is not right.
Which is bizarre because I feel like as I got older, like I got them a lot when I was in my 20s. And then as I got older, you learn what to do, aftercare wise to make sure that you don't get them.
Oh, and so I was doing everything.
Like drinking the water, going to the bathroom, cleaning. Like I do not want to be in the bath. I used to sit in the bathtub with them because it would always happen on a Saturday when the doctor's offices were closed. And I would literally sit in like a hot shower and just cry because the pain was so unbearable. So I did everything.
When my white cotton undies, like just look at that grandma. Well, I said no restrictive clothing. I'm just doing it.
I would wear like my granny panties with like loose sweatpants.
Yes. It's so uncool. That's so uncool. And just, you really do get sick of it. You get sick of having to do all that. And I was telling somebody the other day, I'm like, it doesn't even make, just because I have my implants out, doesn't make everything magically automatically go away, but it makes it so your body, it can, but it also makes it so your body doesn't have to fight something else while giving a measly little, like, let's help try to fight for this. It allows your body to put the healing wherever the healing needs to be in your body. So the UTIs might still pop up, but your body can go heal that when it needs to, instead of like, we're already in fight mode.
Well, and then that gives you hope. Like, I feel like at the very least, when I would get frustrated, because my healing process has been very much up and down. And I remember I would call Dee and be like, why do I feel like I keep going backwards? And she's like, sweetheart, this is part of the healing process. You had those in your body for 13 years. Like, it's going to take you a while to heal, and just kind of like, hang on, it'll be okay. And she'd always say, how do you feel right now? Like 3 months post-op versus before you took them out. And I was like, well, a lot better. And she's like, okay, so focus on that. You're healing. It is happening. It's just going to take a while. And so that was always reassuring to think of. Like, I still, to this day, I've talked to women who say at my 2-year post explant, I felt better than I did in my 20s. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, I still have time. Like,
I know. It's so crazy too. Even now when I wake up, I'm like, I have energy. I feel like vibrant again. And the thing that I was talking to Dee the other day, my eyes got red and itchy again. And I was just like, it's back. And I sent her a picture and I was like, what if I took him out for the thought goes in your brain. What if I took him out for no reason? And my itching didn't go away. And I thought about it and I go, at least it's not my implants 1000%, that this is, now I know that I had inflammation for so long in my eyes that I think I was crying the other day. I feel like I cry all the time, but I was crying and it just irritated old skin that wasn't fully healed yet. And it's just, like you said, it takes time, the healing process. And it was just old skin, like not old skin, but just the residual, I guess, from being irritated for so long that my tears kind of like burned around my eyes. But
Irritated it.
Later, yeah, irritated it. But a couple days later, I was like, it's not even on the same level as what it used to be. Or now I'll like scratch a little bit and I'm like, is my itching not gone? But then I think about, it's probably just because I need to put lotion on now. And I know it's not my implants. It's because I need to put lotion on,
Yeah.
So it makes a world of a difference. And I'm so thankful for you to be, like I said, doing this and spreading the word and putting it out there, because so many women don't have people and they can turn to you, or they can turn to me if they need to. And
yeah. Well, I am so happy that you are sharing your story, and I'm so happy that you came on. And I do this thing. So I have like I'm obsessed with Freddie Mercury, and I always ask all my guests at the very end, like, what's your favorite Queen song?
I don't know any Queen.
None. Okay. This will be a teaching moment for me.
Please. I know.
You've heard Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yes.
Okay. So we'll just say that's your favorite Queen.
Let's go with that one.
Because that's my all-time favorite. And I know it's really cliche because everyone knows that song, but to me, it's like the greatest song of all time. So we'll just go with that.
We'll go with that. Did Adam Lambert kind of like
headline?
That's right. Yeah. That's right. I had a client who was obsessed with Adam Lambert. And so that's kind of the only way in I have with Queen. I'm more of like, I love like hip hop. I love rap. I love R&B. That's more my vibe.
I do too. I've been listening to like the 90s R&B this whole past week. That's what I was listening to.
I like it, man. There's nothing like it.
There is nothing like 90s hip hop and 90s R&B.
So true. It's so true. I have a question for you.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I can't get answers from anybody. I'm not sure it's an easy answer. When did you start working out? Like without fear of anything after surgery?
So before I had my surgery, I had started doing, when we were quarantined, I was doing handstands because we were at the house, couldn't go to the gym. So I was challenging myself to do handstands, and I made it to where I could do a minute holding a balancing handstand. Amazing. So that was my goal after I explanted. I was like, when can I do handstands again? Yeah. I tried doing those six or 8 weeks after. And I went in because I was like having shooting pains, and my doctor was like, everything's fine. Everything's still attached, but like maybe wait another month or two to start doing the handstands. I felt comfortable doing chest and upper body and back stuff around, oh my gosh, it was around 16 weeks.
Honestly, it's kind of brutal to have that when you're like, I'm feeling good. I have my energy back. I'm ready to rock. I want to feel good. I want to feel my best. And then you just can't, you feel kind of like, I can't do anything.
It took a long time for me to where like I could do light stuff, but I like to lift heavy, and I could not do like moderate or heavy weight until about, I would say 16 weeks after. But I will tell you the one thing that I wish I would have done. And I talked to other girls they bounced back way quicker. They were doing like stretches, and I was not doing that. And one of my girlfriends at the time was like, she was like doing pull-ups 10 weeks after her, like pull-ups unassisted. And I was like, how are you doing an unassisted pull-up? And I can barely do like a lat pull down. And she was like, I've been stretching every day. And so she would like, I'll go to the gym and hang, when you hang on the things, I would just hang and let it, and it felt so good. I would just let myself hang. And then I would try to do like a mini pull up, and you'll feel it a little bit, and you'll feel it stretch. And I'd go to machines and just hold back like that. And I noticed a huge improvement in my range of motion and my ability to lift once I started stretching. So I will tell you, like, start the stretching now.
Start it now. Okay. I've actually just been afraid to, because I'm like, I don't want to jack anything up. I don't want to pull anything out of place, or because I kind of I did a little bit. I was lifting actually one of my heavy luggage. And I was like, oh, that wasn't cool. But, it was like, got swollen a little bit, even just, I think it was like a week ago. So I was like, but the stretching, I didn't even think about the stretching. That's okay. I appreciate that. So when did you say like light weights? Probably like 8 weeks.
Yeah, it was around 6 weeks actually. Cause I remember, my PA was like, even at, I think 3 or 4 weeks, she was like, you're good to do light upper body. She's like, don't do anything crazy, but you can go and lift weights. Just keep it really light. She said it will actually be good for
that makes
movement.
Me feel so much better. Seriously. Cause I like Pilates. I like yoga. I haven't been doing any stretching because I'm like, I don't want to pull anything, but that makes me feel a lot better. Okay.
Definitely.
Thank you for that.
You are so welcome.
And again, that's why we have each other that we can reach out to and other women who have been through it. Cause I had no idea. And I don't want to keep bugging Dr. Rankin all the time and being like, tell me about this. Is this normal?
Oh, I'm always here. Yeah. Is this normal?
What does this look like? So bad. I know you're at dinner, but check this out.
Yeah.
Like you're fine.
Step out and take a look at this.
Yeah, can we FaceTime real quick? Cool.
Oh, I love it. Well, thank you so much for being on. And I know that we'll be in touch for sure now. And if you have questions at all, like I'm always here. I'm going to send you a link to that medicine we were talking about. And then I'll probably want you, if you have any before and afters,
yep.
I'll want you to send those to me because my videographer can put them up when we're talking about it. And that way people can see that.
Totally. I got so many good pictures. I got so many good pictures, befores, afters, my rashes, all that kind of stuff. And I think the rashes are the most like physical looking one and like the grays around my eyes and stuff, but it's brutal.
Yeah.
And so many other women are like, no clue.
I know. Well, you are just the greatest. And I'm so happy that you were on. And
I have been I love talking about it and I love sharing with other women and talking about it. So thank you.
Same.
Seriously.
Well, thank you. All right.
All right. Have a good weekend, Kay.
You too.
All right. Bye.
Thank you for checking out the CWC podcast. If you want to learn more about our community, make sure to check out the show notes.